Well, hello there. I am Pam Miller. I'm an editor, and I specialize in theses, either a master's or doctoral thesis. And I have subjects that I specialize in. But what I wanted to talk about today was why you would bother to get something edited. So, firstly, there's the reason that your university might require you to do it, and they require you to get a certified editor to edit your work, which I am. The second thing is you would want to get your work edited. You have spent a lot of time, a lot of effort on crafting your message. But if you haven't applied the correct words, the correct grammar, the correct punctuation, if you hadn't made it look similar and pleasing, people are going to struggle to read it. They're going to struggle to understand what you're saying, which is a huge pity when you have spent so much time researching your subject, finding the message, proving your message, and then the way it's produced doesn't reflect that. And it's something you need to look at not only at the end of your thesis, but from the beginning. When I look at different theses, especially true of people who either don't speak great English, because not everyone is a language person, but if English is not your home language, you're going to struggle because the punctuation, the grammar, the word choice is all unfamiliar to you. And it definitely won't reflect what you're trying to say. And it's a pity because it can reflect it. It can make your message shine and sing if it's presented correctly. So, when you start your thesis and you start doing your research, you need to be very careful about choosing your referencing technique. The university should guide you, but even so, there are plenty of questions you're going to have about referencing, and it gets confusing. I still go and look at my notes and say, all right, so if this is an in-text reference, we're looking at an author, but he's from an organization, how do we do it? What comes first? Where do the commas go? Where do the full stops go? Where do the brackets go? And you need to have that all written out in advance. Find all that information so that when you start your literature research, it's not even a formal literature research, it's where you're saying, I like what this guy's saying, I want to say more about it. Because remember, all research is based on previous research. You can't just pick a subject out of the air and say, I want to talk about this. You've got to say, because so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that, the next obvious question is this. And that's why I'm asking the question, and I'm going to research it. So please think about your literature research before you even start, and start noting down everything you read, plus what you found in it, so notes. Now, there are programs that can help you, but you can just use pen and paper and write down what you've got. This task is more about administration than about reading. And if you get it wrong, you're going to find yourself at the end of your thesis going through pages and pages and pages of references and a huge list of references, and you've got to sort it all out, and it gets really confusing. So decide what your referencing technique is. Decide on exactly how you're going to do it, because there are subtle differences. Make sure you're applying your university standards and research anything else you need to know. But you also need to decide, if your university doesn't tell you, how am I going to do tables? How am I going to do bullet points? What are my headings going to be like? Am I going to use English spelling or American spelling? And if I use English spelling, even there are changes. The commonest one is that SZ, so analyze. You can say analyze with a Z in English, but it's seldom that we use the Z. So I prefer to use the S because it's easier to check. If there's a Z in a word, it's probably wrong. So make your life easy for yourself now by deciding in advance what your style guide is. What are you going to be using? What are you going to be applying? Where are you going to reference things? Which dictionary is going to be the one you go to? So I use Collins Online Dictionary, and that is where I go to. If I'm unsure about how to word things or write things, or what's the politically correct term for something, I go to the Guardian Style Guide. Now, both of those are online. There's also something called the Big Blue Book. It's American, but it discusses in detail all the grammar. It can get really complicated, so try and keep it simple. Best to write simply rather than in a complicated fashion, shorter sentences. And having read a lot of theses now, I'm saying before you even start writing the thesis, do bullet points for yourself to say, chapter 1, these are my bullet points. Chapter 2, these are my bullet points. And when you've decided on everything and all the things you want to say, that's when you start writing it into prose, where you start putting it into sentences. But editing, important, start with the editing in mind right at the beginning. And if you're going to do a questionnaire or a survey, I would get that edited as well, because you're going to live with those wordings till the end of your thesis. And if they weren't worded well, or they are clumsy or too long, you're going to struggle the whole way through. So enjoy your thesis. It's a wonderful journey. But enjoy it because you've overcome hurdles before you've even got to them. Have a good day. Bye.